Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hi there, I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing. If you missed Stupid O'Clock tonight, it was a little subdued for Stupid O'Clock, so we need nights like that every once in a while. It was good to relax and just enjoy, and there were some good jokes and a little bit of SpaceX trivia and things like that. The usual selection of odd topics at odd times for odd reasons. But now we've got tonight, and with me is Rich and Joe and Donna. If I can scroll down fast enough to get to add her in, there we go.
And of course, none of the good jokes on Stupid O'Clock were Joe Dogs.
I was going to say that. There were good jokes, and then there were Joe Dog jokes.
Yes, well.
Although John put some groaners in the chat.
Yes, well, he and Kiri have a competition going on. And the competition is basically which one can out dad joke the other. So far, they're running neck and neck.
And then you said there were odd topics for odd reasons. Well, they come from odd fellows, so what do you expect?
The lodge has been tiled. I didn't really think I was going to be up for this tonight. We got home from having dinner with Chris. He was down at University of Georgia for the G-Day game today, and we decided, since that's only like 20 minutes away from the house, we'd meet up and have dinner somewhere. Well, the first place was a wash, because by the time we actually met up, we found out they had like a 90-minute wait for a table.
Damn.
And I had just got 2 hours worth of parking. And parking spaces were incredibly difficult to come by during a football Saturday. which is I should have known since I actually went to UGA back in the day, but somehow it just didn't occur to me. But the restaurant that we were going to have dinner in used to be the Greyhound bus station. And it just happens to be the Greyhound bus station where Lindsay and I met in person for the first time when she got off the bus from Albuquerque
Aw.
to move out here. And she had been wanting to go back there ever since she heard somebody had opened up a restaurant in it. Looked like a really nice place. A little bit loud, but
Football crowd
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
football Saturday, 2 blocks from campus. Yep.
Mhm. Well, also you said it was a new place.
Fairly new, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know exactly how long the restaurant had been running, but
Well,
we
that-
talked.
in Danville here, if anything new opens up, Carl and I wait at least 8 months before we'll go see what it's all about because everybody goes to the new place.
Hmm. Well, there's tons of new places in that particular part of downtown Athens. It's always had a history of restaurants coming and going, and
That's the history of restaurants.
well,
Nine out of-
yeah,
9 out of 10 fail.
there are still maybe half a dozen that have been there since. Well, I went to them in the 70s when I was in college. They had been there even beforehand.
Hmm.
So, but a lot of other places either used to be some type of store that got turned into a restaurant later as the downtown kind of was no longer economically viable for that sort of thing, or they moved out to the mall that got built, or they went to some of the other shopping centers scattered around the county. And there was a big parking tower that had gotten built before my family moved to Athens, and it was never used as a parking tower because somebody took some shortcuts in the construction and it wasn't safe to park a car 10 stories up. So they turned it into an apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just waiting on the headlines. I really am. But evidently, before it got turned from a parking garage into an apartment complex, there was some strengthening of the construction.
We hope so.
Now, y'all know I'm dyslexic, right? Almost went home by one of the landmarks that I knew for years before I ever realized exactly what the sign really said. But my family would go to a local shopping center that was just on the outskirts of town. So we had to drive from basically the middle of town to the outskirts. And we go by this one church every time. And I kept reading the sign and I kept thinking, I kept reading the sign, I kept thinking, it was a sign on the parking lot of the church. And one day we went by, and I actually asked my mom, why does the First Pedestrian Church have a parking lot? It was then Mom realized that I had been reading the word Presbyterian incorrectly.
You know what's really sad is my brain auto-corrected that, and I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Oh. Folks, you can't make this up. I had to live it. But I did not think after, we went from the bus station restaurant to an IHOP, and I absolutely stuffed myself trying not to get a takeout box with leftovers. I still had stuff left over.
You just have to be careful about going into the men's room at IHOPs. So you just have to be careful about going into the men's rooms at IHOPs.
Yeah.
I know I've told the story.
I was going to say, is that where you had your little incident?
F me in that, yeah.
Go ahead, tell it. I love that story.
All right, so Misty, Crow, and I were eating out at IHOP just after Valentine's Day.
Now I remember.
And felt a little rumbly in the tumbly as dairy tends to make me nowadays. So went into the restroom to do my kingly duty, sit on the throne for a little bit, and sitting there, I'm like, the music sounds weird. Something just sounds off about it. And then there was a pause between songs where there was dead silence, and the guy in the stall next to me was watching porn on their phone, not using headphones. So, well, okay, yeah, you're not caring about monetization, so all of a sudden I hear, fuck me in the ass. And I'm like, oh, Lord. So I'm like, I need to finish up quickly because I'm pretty sure they're going to be a little bit longer. But I don't want to meet the person at the sink.
Certainly don't want to shake hands with him.
Wash my hands, dried my hands, and as I'm walking out into the back into the restaurant from the bathroom, I very loudly say, when you're watching porn in the bathroom, you might want to use headphones. And then, walk up to the table. I'm like, okay, we're going now.
We don't want to see what this guy looks like when he comes out.
Yeah. No, I mean, in a truck stop, I can understand it and I can expect that. Apparently, so can Barry. But in IHOP at like 9 o'clock in the morning?
When it could have been a little kid in the next stall? Mm-hmm.
Some people have no sense of timing.
I could just see little Johnny going back to the table. Mommy, what is in the mean?
Oh, I would have paid good money to see that happen.
And Mommy turning to Daddy and said, I told you he could hear us.
Mommy turned into Daddy, what are you watching on your computer when I'm not around and little Johnny can hear?
Oh, and Chris is right. That IHOP had been redecorated recently, and it looked to me like all the fixtures in the men's room were brand new. Either that or they've got an outstanding cleaning staff.
I have never been to an IHOP. I've tried to. We have one on campus over at the U of I. But even during the summer when there are no students there, even during an off time, like middle of the afternoon or something, their parking lot is so filled that every time we've tried to go, it's like, okay, let's go someplace else. There's no place to park.
Well, we got there and they were doing a booming business in takeout orders, pickup orders. But we had, the three of us had the entire restaurant to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of DoorDash orders going on in Danville. The house across the street get at least, I'd say, 5 DoorDash deliveries a week still.
It is convenient.
Well, it surprised me that there was nobody there, and then I realized They were all downtown. Seriously, it looked like the entire population of 2 states was walking around downtown Athens.
Yeah, home team and the opposite team.
Well, it was G-Day, so it was the varsity and the junior varsity squad playing each other, or the first string and the second string playing each other. I don't know which it was, but they were all part of the UGA team.
Hmm.
They just, some of them wearing red jerseys, some of them wearing black jerseys, and it's
Okay.
middle of spring. It's not anywhere near football season. So
Okay.
this is
Dan,
part of the practice.
you say you're not really into football. Are you like Carl, who thinks that the first down is when the cheerleader gets tackled for the first time?
No. That one happens on the bus.
So I was heading down to Indy one time, down to central office back when I worked at INDOT for training, and leaving from the district office out in LaPorte, I would always take US 31 down to Indy. And staying at one of the hotels downtown, and GPS says I'm a quarter mile away from the hotel, and it's going to take 30 minutes.
Mm, that's Indy.
I look at the time, I'm like, well, it's not rush hour. What the hell's going on? And as I'm slowly creeping along, I happen to look over across the street, and there's just nothing but a sea of blue jerseys walking up and down the street.
Colts game.
Home opener Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a bitch. All right. I pull up to the parking garage for central office, and they got a sign out. $20 for parking. Shit, I forgot they rent this out. And it's 2 days till payday, and I don't even think I have $20 in my bank account to go take out right now. So I pull up, and the guy says, it's $20, and I hold up my INDOT badge. He goes, "Oh, you get in for free." Oh, thank you, God. So they were playing the Jets that night. And at that time, Andrew Luck was still the quarterback for the Colts. And if the man didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. I watched the game in the hotel room, and they just got absolutely smashed. So I had gone outside to go smoke, and I'm standing out there, and all these people walking by are just giving me dirty looks. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Then I realized I'm wearing a green shirt. They assumed I was a Jets fan.
So, one of the first few years that Gen Con went to Indy, one of the nights, there was a game, and you had all of these people in Colts jerseys and stuff like that, looking at all the cosplayers like they are freaks of nature, and like, the hell are you guys doing? This is stupid, blah, 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 dressing up, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you say, Peyton. Oh, wait, you're not Peyton Manning. I almost got my ass beat.
Which hotel did you stay in Indy, Joe?
That was Spring something, Spring House, Springfield. It was right next to the Marriott.
Have you ever been to the Crown Plaza, that one that used to be a train station and has been changed into? Oh, that place is wonderful. My my sister-in-law and Carl's sister, her and her husband got married like 6 months before we did, and Dennis had yeah, I think this was his first wife. Anyway, the six of us decided to celebrate our anniversary together. We went over there, and I don't know if they still have them, but at that time they had sleeper cars that you could spend the night in. Carl and I got a suite that had that was the biggest suite I'd ever seen. But it had the living room and then the bedroom and a huge bath, so that we could all six get in there and do after dinner drinking. And then in the rest of the station, they had all these little cubby holes that were little shops and stuff with fudge and trinkets and stuff. It was really great.
That's set up almost exactly like the Chattanooga Choo Choo used to be, back before they ruined it and turned it into an apartment complex.
So back when I was at NDOT, so when I first started working there, if you had to get a hotel room, you had to pay for it out of pocket, turn in the receipt to finance, and then you got reimbursed. Well, then the state figured out how to do direct billing with a bunch of the hotels that would actually give us like a government rate. And that was the other thing too, is you only got reimbursed like $89. So if they didn't have government rate and your room was more expensive, you only got $89 back out of whatever you spent. Well, we had gone down for a construction conference down there, and I had ridden down with the project engineer I'd worked with that previous season and our area engineer. We show up at this hotel, and I think it was a Radisson or a Marriott. I think it was a Marriott down there that we had stayed at. And the area engineer checks in, and he had asked if they had anything on the fourth floor, which was where they had the concierge lounge and all the other stuff. Because if they weren't overly booked, they would sometimes give us those rooms at the government rate. And they're like, no, we're actually booked up. We have first, second, or fifth floor. So he took the fifth floor. Project engineer took the fifth floor. I go to sign in, and they go, "Oh, Mr. Bachman, we got you on the fourth floor. You have access to the concierge lounge, this, that, and the other." And I look over at the other two because I'm the lowest on the totem pole. I'm just an inspector. Here's my two bosses, the people who control whether or not I get a raise next year, being told no, they can't stay on that floor. And I said, no, I said, you can put me up on the fifth floor with them. She goes, well, you're emerald status or diamond status rewards member, don't you want access to that? Ma'am, let me tell you something. You just told the two people who control whether or not I get a raise that they have to stay on the fifth floor, not the fourth. I will stay on the fifth with them and ensure my raise next year.
Yeah.
So I go put my bag away because I was thinking about it. Because I told her too. I said, well, if there's any rewards attached to the account, you need to take it off. Because that will get you fired from the state. And so she did, and I went up, put my bags in the room, went back down to the lobby. I said, just out of curiosity, I said, what's the email address that's tied to this rewards account? Because up until working for the state, I hadn't stayed in a hotel room since before I was of legal age to rent a hotel room. And she goes, oh, it's Jay Bachman. Okay, Jay Bachman at what? I need more information than that. I got like 10 of those accounts. And she goes, "Oh, it's Jay Bachman at alexandriagroup.com." What the hell? So I do a quick Google search. Apparently, there was another Joe Bachman at the time that was doing far better than I was in life. Worked for some consulting firm out in Alexandria, Virginia. And what made it even better that those couple days, apparently him and I were either happened to be staying at the same hotel or both were at Marriott's at the same time. Because we go to check out and they normally just slide the receipt under the door, the day you're checking out. I had 2 receipts. One for the room, which had an extra day on it, and room service order. I never ordered room service. I went out for breakfast and dinner with my bosses both days I was there. So I go down and I said, yeah, I never had room service ordered. So you need to take that off. I said, and I was only here 2 nights. Why are you charging me for 3? Well, you checked in on that date. No, I didn't. Well, yeah, you did. No, I didn't. I checked in the same time as these other 2. Well, no, we show you as checking on this date. I said, why would I drive down to Indy from Northwest Indiana, check in, drive back to Northwest Indiana, and then ride down with these 2?
And try and check in again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So ended up having finance just call them and get it taken care of, but that was such a lovely.
Now, on the other hand, Illinois doesn't care what kind of perks you have, as long as you don't try to use them. Carl signed up with the Hampton, and that's where we usually stayed when he'd go someplace. And of course, you win free nights. Well, he thought he'd be a good guy, save the state some money, turn in his thing, and no charge for the hotel. And then we can't do this. We can't. We have to reimburse you something for this room. And Carl says, but I didn't pay for the room. It was a perk. And they're like, we can't do this. Save your free nights for yourself because we need something that we have to pay you for. So that was wonderful. He'd go for work, get a free night, and then we get to go somewhere.
Yeah, see, they didn't want us getting the free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we weren't even allowed to use a Speedy Rewards card when filling up our vehicles.
Mm.
And it was actually a bunch of the plow drivers that got that rule instated. Because you know how quickly you rack up rewards points from Speedway if you're filling up a diesel truck after 12 hours of plowing?
Mm-hmm. State of Illinois was so happy that their ITs could and would travel that they didn't even mind if I went with him and stayed overnight.
Yeah,
This is nice. Got a little break from being home.
There was another time I was heading down to Indy and I get a call. I didn't recognize the number and I didn't have my headset on for some reason, so I just sent it to voicemail. And person leaves a message, so I get down to the hotel room, check in. Like, I should probably listen to that voicemail. Hey Joe, it's Rick. Oh shit, I sent our deputy director to voicemail. Son of a bitch. The top dog in the building. I just went, no, you get the FU button. Sorry.
Hey.
Called him back real quick and like, yeah, sorry about that. I was driving. I didn't have didn't have my headset on. And he goes, oh, well, where are you staying at down in India? I said, oh, just staying looking to off of 21st and Shadeland. He goes, why the hell are you staying in the slums? What? He goes, why are you staying in the slums? I said, it's not a bad little motel. It's got good continental breakfast and Wi-Fi is decent. He goes, no, 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 no. He goes, next time you go down, tell him you want downtown Indy. I'm like, so is there a place in downtown Indy that the state can afford? He goes, yeah. He goes, the Marriott, the Springfield or Springhouse, whatever it's called. I'm like,
Spring roll.
huh. Well, Marriott would have been nice to stay in because they actually have from I think it's the third floor of our parking garage at the state. They have a little skywalk between the two.
Mhm.
But Springhouse is right around the corner from them. They're
Yeah.
like the next hotel over. So when I went down there and stayed at Springhouse, I just parked on the third floor, walked across into the Marriott, went down their elevator, walked out the front door.
Well, I'd say State of Illinois treated their ITs a lot better than their counselors because when he would travel as a counselor, we stayed in Motel 6, Motel 8, whatever the number was. He became an IT, it was the Hampton and the nicer hotels. Like, okay.
Yes, Chris, Spring Hill Suites. Thank you.
Shall return.
Thanks for the warning.
Oh, he's about to leave us unsupervised.
Yeah, you should know better than that.
Amok.
Especially after Thursday night. Wow.
Unfortunately, after last night's trip down the steps, I'm limping amok instead of running amok.
Mm.
Done that.
Well, the other reason why I normally stayed at the La Quinta off of 21st and Shadeland down there, when I had 3 different trainings I had to go down for, and each one was like, one was 1 month, one was the next, one was the next after that. Well, the first 2 lined up with state tournaments at the hotel next door. First one was dart tournament. I knew a bunch of the dart players from up here, so I went over and partied with them after work. And then the second one was state pool tournament. Knew a bunch of them, so went over and drank and partied with them.
Yeah, Chris, Motel 6, Super 8, whatever the number, owned and ran by the same guy with the smell of curry all along the hallways. At least I hope it was curry. Might have been a dead body.
Long as it wasn't the decaying smell of Tim Curry, you're fine.
Yeah.
Thinking of talking about all these hotel stories, I just thought of one from when I was an Uber driver. I picked up a couple. Richie will know where this is, south of Valpo at Aberdeen, off State Road 2. And picked them up from wedding reception. They were both in the wedding party. I don't know if they were already dating or if they just happened to hook up at the wedding. But I pick them up, taking them back to a hotel in Valpo. And we're talking. The guy's talking to me as we're driving along, and I could tell he was distracted, though. And we were sitting at a stoplight, and he said something that I didn't quite catch, and I look over my shoulder. I go, "What was that?" Here she is. her back up against the passenger side door, everything just hanging out from the dress, her feet rubbing his area, and his hand is up the dress. Okay, whatever. Not the worst thing I've had happen in this car. So we're driving along, and I realized the hotel I'm taking them to, when you pull up, has a nice, very well lit awning that you drive under.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them, kind of gave them the 2-minute warning and said, hey, we're going to be pulling up here soon and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they didn't heed the warning. I pull up underneath that awning, put it in park. I thought they might heed the warning, and they didn't. So I turned around, because he's holding up money to tip me. I turned to grab him. I'm like, oh, thanks. She's sitting there. She's, trying to put everything back into the dress. And as she's doing that, which you can already see everything with all the lights on under this awning, he just opens my car door. So now all the interior lights are on.
And that's not easy to do. To put everything back in a dress and a bra.
Especially with how well endowed she was up there.
Trust me, I know. And if you're doing something at a rest stop that includes one of you on his knees outside the car door, do not count on anybody not seeing you because nobody comes in the wrong way. Yeah, they do.
Y'all lead such adventurous lives.
Oh, the stories I could tell of Uber. I could probably write another book on that.
You'd have to sell it as fiction. Nobody would believe it.
Right?
Well, you know what they say. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, but it doesn't pay as well.
Probably my favorite people that I picked up was during baseball season. When the Gary Railcats would be playing in a home game. A lot of times, whatever team they'd be playing would be staying at a hotel over in Portage. And it was really neat picking up these minor league players and listening to them talk about, oh, so-and-so got traded to here, or so-and-so, is moving up to the big show next week and getting put on some whatever major league team. And it was kind of neat hearing all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the punchline.
If you have to figure that one out, sorry. It would fit in real well with all the talk of hotels, especially high rises.
Oh, okay.
The penny dropped.
Are you okay, Rich?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Chris. It's not that their readers might believe the stories, it's that their readers would try and top the stories.
Yeah.
Well, I've had, that couple that I picked up from the wedding party. I had another couple that I'm pretty sure had I not arrived at the next bar within the next 30 seconds, there would have been fun going on in my back seat, seeing as she was already on top of him. And the most confusing one, though, I picked up a couple down in Crown Point and was taking them back to Portage. Richie knows what kind of drive that is, and that there's really no good route back. So as they're walking out to the car, she is just chewing this guy's ass up one side, down the other. He's an asshole when he's drinking and all this other stuff. And he's just taking it. He's not saying two words back. He's just taking it. They get in the car. I confirm the destination, and I start driving, and she is still just chewing his ass. And all of a sudden it went quiet. And I look in my mirror, and they're making out. And then a couple minutes later, he's an asshole again. And this is going on, and then all of a sudden it goes quiet. And I look in the mirror again, and they're making out again. This went on from Crown Point to Portage, which is about a 40-minute drive.
Ish, yeah.
Foreplay.
And I was at the point where, like I said, I've had things almost happen in the back seat. I want to just look at him and go, either he's an asshole or you're going to fuck him. Make up your mind and do one of the two.
Well,
But not in the car.
I wouldn't have cared if it was in the car at that point.
here's the thing. You have to remember that a lot of ladies in the region only want to fuck guys who are assholes.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's not just the region, that's about all over. Ladies love their bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
Which explains why it took so long for me to get laid.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But nice guys finish last.
If we're lucky.
Because we care about our partner and want them to finish first.
Exactly. Ah.
Yeah, your door just closed on its own, I think.
No, there's a breeze that came through.
Okay.
I've got the window is literally in front of me. It's about quarter of the way open, so a nice gust came through and closed the door. And right now, I've got to let Barry in because I hear the door as Barry's like, "Dude." So 1 second.
It must be nice to be able to open your windows.
Used to be.
Yes, I hear you, asshole.
Well, somebody took it to decide that the grand old house would look grander with these 6x6 windows rather than the two regular size windows.
Mhm.
So the forefront windows and the back window in the living room are all 6x6. And they have, instead of the old rope to and weight to take them up and down, these have thin slivers of metal. You can't open and shut the windows very often on those thin things of metal. They break. And so now I have 4 totally useless windows. I mean, they're great for looking out of. They're great for a scenic view. They're great to have people looking in at you. But they don't open anymore.
So my house has the old
Oh,
style
excuse me.
push-out windows. Not even crank. You get a little bar you lift up, bring over, and
Mm-hmm.
well, when we were buying the house to get it to pass inspection, we had to repaint the outside of the windows. So
Oh
we just
no.
kind of did it haphazardly and got everything painted and get the house and it was a nice, kind of fall day, and instead of turning the AC on, we'll just open the windows up, and I go to push, and okay, old house, old windows, it probably just stuck shut. Whatever. Try the next one. What the hell? Try the other one in the bedroom.
Painted them shut.
Oh yeah, I painted every fucking one of these shut around the whole house. So here I am back out on the ladder with a utility knife, sitting here cutting the seams with the wife on the inside going, okay, push it a little bit, see what happens. Just don't push it out too quickly because I will fall.
And hoping she's not feeling like, yeah, let him fall.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, wasn't high enough to where she could collect insurance on me.
Wow.
I would have just been injured.
Well, yeah, and then she'd have to take care of you. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we had the fire in here, the window in this room had to be replaced. And evidently, somebody made it a rush job, put the window in, didn't nail it to the frame. So I go to raise the window one day, entire thing falls out into the hedge. Entire window comes out of the frame down onto the edge. If it had been 6 inches the other way, we'd already started cutting down the privet hedge and getting rid of it. It would have hit the stump, and I'd had to went out and buy a whole new window instead of going outside, picking it up, putting it in place, and coming in and driving nails myself. If you want anything done right, do it yourself, especially if you make the mistake of letting them know you got the insurance check before the work is through. They demanded to get paid, and I never saw them again.
That was either a rush job or that was okay, gonna get this set in place, get ready to start the nail. Hey, Frank, come take a look at this real quick. Okay. And
yeah, I don't know which. There have been several places I've lived in where back when I was single, had a roommate. He was worried about people breaking in. People jimmying the windows or breaking up pane of glass and unlocking it. They're going to just raise the window, come in, steal everything we've got. And I go, we're college students. What do we have? That's not the point. Okay. I grew up on a farm.
Ramen.
I love Misty, but she's always freaking out about stuff like that. She's like, we can't leave the balcony door unlocked. I'm like, there is no way for someone to climb up unless they actually get a ladder and put it against our balcony to get up onto our balcony to come in.
Oh, you would be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching one of my crime shows. There was this guy, and he said he didn't know why, but he could be walking along, look up and see a balcony, and just decide to climb up there. And
that's the guy that was doing it in Pennsylvania and then Colorado.
Yeah. And he just scaled up the side of the thing.
I figured out how to get my friend to relax about the entire thing because I grew up on a farm. I have tools. I've had, all kind of stuff in the trunk of the car, in the house. Got my drill, drilled a hole almost all the way through both halves of the sliding window. Didn't come out the far side. Put a nail in there, and it was in a place where if you didn't know where it was, you weren't going to be able to find it to pull it out to open the window if you broke a pane of glass and unlocked the window. That made him happy. Don't know what the landlord thought when we left, but
What
oh,
the hell is wrong with this window?
Yeah.
I guess it's this damn 10-penny nail stuck into it.
Our sunroom used to be an outside porch that they enclosed, and they've got these really neat windows that just slide to the side, and they've got two of the little turn locks on them. We one of them locked and the other one unlocked. So if anybody ever tries to undo the thing, they're going to be frustrated as to trying to figure out which one to get in. Because it would be really easy to pop those screens out and climb through those windows. I know cats are finally figuring out what that sunroom is for. They can sit in the window and watch Daddy outside, and watch for the van when we're gone. Boy, did that stop conversation.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking about all the roommates that I had back before I was more socially active, shall we say.
Yeah, folks.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Well, that's what I'm calling it. All right. Good night, Chris.
See, Chris.
Yeah,
Good night, Chris.
I'm about to do the same as Chris because I got to get up for breakfast with the missus in the morning. So since she didn't get to go today, she had to go out for a concrete pour for a whole 2 trucks.
Say hi for us.
Will do. So I will
Good
see you
night.
guys next time.
All
Night.
right. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
I'm going to have entirely too much to do during this layoff from work. No, I mean seriously, I'm going to have entirely too much to do.
It's called being a homeowner.
Yeah. But there are several projects that I have been putting off because they're not a one-day job. They're not even a weekend job. It's going to take a while, and I'm hoping that I get a chance to do all of them because they really do need to be done. And it's not freezing cold outside anymore. And basically, that 8 hours a day that wears me out just doing simple stuff and walking 8 or 10 miles is not going to be in the way. So I've got to tackle all that stuff.
Well, I'm hoping that the extra taxes we had this year is not going to keep us from finally fixing my ceiling. The holes are getting bigger.
Oh, I got a letter the other day. The union I'm in evidently had a some kind of funeral planning fund for the union members, and they did away with it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got this stuff that had been collected from all the union members all across the country for over 15 years. And by law, they have to pay it back because it
Mm-hmm.
came out of our paychecks. It will be taxed, of course. I have got the most complex looking form that I have to fill out for something I didn't even know I was paying into. But now, by law, they have to at least make the attempt to give it back. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't get this back in time, I'm missing out on about 2 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's before taxes. So um, a good 12 or 1500 after, I guess. But still, that's money I never knew that I was going to get. So
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Kitty friend, I see you. Go see.
that'd buy a lot of ramen. Or
Like you
whatever
cooked ones
else.
too.
Mm,
It wasn't some kind of notation on your pay stub that this money was going out.
it was part of the union dues.
Ah.
Yeah, it was just part of the union dues. That was the only entry on the pay stub. The the company is not required to break down what the union is using the dues money for. Um, so yeah, hey, um, $1,200 that'll pay off an entire credit card right there. Of course, I'll just have to use it again.
Of
But
course.
I, thanks to the plague money that we got from the government, I was able to zero out both of the credit cards. Um, went from being roughly $40,000 in debt to now that I've used them several times, about $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not bad, especially when I'm making $100 payment on each one every week.
Yeah.
Pay them off in a hurry, and that still gives us plenty of money to live off of. The house is paid for, the cars are paid for. You know, all really I'm having to pay is utilities and insurance. So probably going to have to get I'm definitely going to have to get some kind of health insurance to go with the retirement.
You don't
'Cause
have the option to keep your insurance?
the work insurance, no, I don't. They don't. That would cost too much. Uh,
You can't even Cobra that shit?
I don't have the faintest idea. What I think I am going to do is I'm going to contact the people the company use for the insurance I've already got and go
Mm-hmm.
from corporate to private. Uh, don't know how much that'll be. I checked into it with the people I had my car insurance through, and they said they couldn't match the corporate rate that we're getting now. So I don't have the faintest idea what it's going to cost, but you know, got to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
We got to keep the insurance plan that the state had on us when he retired. And don't if he's paying for himself, it was always free for him, and then they paid for me. But I mean, we're sitting here as this person's paying a couple thousand a month for health insurance, and this one's paying 4,000, and ours is less than 1,000 a month.
mm-hmm.
So we're like, that's pretty good because it's great insurance. And then when I got on Medicare, I was able to move it over to the um, D plan, whatever that extra thing is that you're supposed to have.
The Medicare Plan D.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So it's still pretty much covered for the same price as.
Well, our work insurance is kind of funny. Um, they've changed providers a few times. Once because the local area hospitals stopped accepting one company entirely.
Wasn't getting
So
paid soon enough.
probably so, and corporation switched to another insurance provider. Um, now for 30 some odd years, insurance was about $48 a week out of my paycheck, and the coverage was excellent. And then Obamacare was proposed, not enacted, proposed. Within a month, the insurance that I paid every week was tripled. Then it was enacted, and it keeps going up and up and up instead of had been steady for 30 years. Somebody's got a cash cow here, and they're milking it for all it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
What's really stupid is the Affordable Care Act really isn't Obamacare.
Yes.
So the firm had to make the insurance plan worse, or the firm would have to pay a penalty because our insurance was so good, it was a Cadillac plan.
Yeah. I can.
So
I
we
can
had to
well
get worse
understand that.
coverage. We had
Yep.
to get worse coverage so the firm wouldn't take a penalty.
As each year has gone by since that happened, the coverage has been getting worse, and it costs more every year.
Yeah. It's
And
ridiculous.
yeah,
Now I'm all for affordable health care and affordable um, insurance and stuff like that. But here's the other thing: is the Affordable Care Act does nothing to make health care affordable. It just makes everyone have to have insurance. Because, I mean, if you want actual affordable health care, how about you go after the hospitals that are milking us and charging us, $25 for an aspirin they never brought us? Why not go after that crap and get that under control, which would actually make healthcare affordable?
hmm it's all the extra administrators that get added to everything that actually make things expensive. And it doesn't matter whether it's healthcare or any other system. Once you get people in there that are just there to do paperwork and nothing else, and add no value to the entire process, they're just
Yeah, it just gets stupid.
it just
Uh,
you're paying people for sitting around doing nothing basically.
well, I have had insurance all my life. I've never understood people not having insurance. When I was a kid, Mom used to say we were insurance poor because, between my dad and I, from the time I was 4 to the time I was about 14, I was in the hospital a couple dozen times. And if I wasn't in the hospital, my dad was, and sometimes we were at the same time. So we had to have insurance. So I never even thought about not having insurance. But the one we have now, can't complain about it. When my foot surgery cost over $10,000, we paid $500. Can't complain about that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I have is that I can't. They will not take care of my sensors for my the glucose sensor because I'm not on insulin, which is silly.
Stupid, yeah.
I'm on this thing, so I won't have to go on insulin. But although my insurance is not paying for it, I'm still getting a break because I have insurance. Because 6 sensors would normally be $550, and we're only paying $224.
Damn.
So, I mean, at least we're getting a break because we have insurance, even if insurance isn't paying for it.
I wouldn't mind getting one of those, but again, because I'm not on insulin, I don't know if the company or the insurance company would pay for it, but because they sent a nastygram last year. Well, okay, not really a nastygram.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, all right, the brand of meter I use is no longer supported, so they're not going to pay for strips. They're not going to pay for lancets and stuff like that for my meter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they will go for one of the freestyles. I don't remember which one. I don't think it's the Libre. I don't think it's the one that,
Goes in the eye.
I got to double check that, because if they do cover that one, that'd be freaking cool. Yeah. But at the same time, they also sent a nastygram saying they were no longer going to cover my Trulicity. And I showed that letter to my doctor. He paused the exam and everything else that we were doing at that exact moment to dictate a letter back to, because he can't type to save his life. But to dictate a letter back to my prescription insurance to just rip them a new one. Because he's like, he's morbidly obese. This, medicine has shown to help with heart, issues, help with weight loss, and also helps his A1C, which, the reason he needs this diabetic medication is because he's diabetic. But yeah, Doc was completely savage, and he's dictating this in front of me. He's like, "How does this sound to you?" I'm like,
Well, that's another one of my problems. I'm not technically diagnosed as diabetic. I'm technically pre-diabetic. Like, okay. There's really no such thing, people. You're diabetic or you're not.
No, there is, because people can slide into being diabetic, and it's that state where you could hold it off for longer. You probably won't hold it off forever, but you might be able to hold it off for longer.
Especially since it's in my... genes, you know.
Technically, Josh, when he was talking the other night, he's saying that his A1C is down around 4 now because of lifestyle changes that he's made and stuff like that. Technically, Josh is no longer diabetic. 5.5 as far as an A1C is that pre-diabetic state, and over 6.0 is diabetic. If he manages
and mine's 7.5.
You're 7.5 and they're claiming you're only pre-diabetic?
And I've gone down since using the Freestyle Libre. Yeah.
Because 6.0, you're supposed to be diabetic. And then my doctor got a little pissy with me because when he first started treating me, I was 10-something. And then the next time they took my A1C, it was down to 9-something, and it was like a month later.
Yeah.
And he's like, I still don't like these numbers. I'm like, Doc, I've come down 1 point something in my A1C in 3 weeks. I think we're on the right track. We just have to let it go longer than 3 weeks. And then we got it down to under 6. Not under 6, sorry, under 7. And he's still complaining. I'm like, I thought under 7, and we're generally doing pretty good. Well, it's not where I want you to be. I'm like, did I say our journey is done? It's we're on that scale where we're sliding down. Can't you say, Mr. Asplin, good job at getting things to this point.
Yep.
We've still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But
I did
less than a year. We brought it down 3 points.
I did get down to 6.9, and then Julie was killed in December. And so it's my fault. I know it's my fault, but I'm still doing an awful lot of comfort food eating.
Well, not just that, but stresses cause weird things to happen to your sugar as well. Even if you manage to eat correctly through all that, still, just the stress from all that causes your sugars just to go haywire.
And yes, it's been 5 months now, but no. And it's going to be worse on the 6th of May, which is 5 days after her birthday.
Is
and
that
we're
when
doing
the celebration of life is going to be?
Yeah. And then I told my other best friend, I said, you are going to be there all day for me, Archer. She said, you better believe it.
Now,
I'll get through it.
I'm just wondering, because at the moment, I'm not on any meds for anything. I do have to take some over-the-counter stuff to deal with the sciatica and all, but nothing actually prescribed. And Lindsay's been trying to give me a healthy diet and keep my weight under control, things like that. But is there some kind of law that says healthy food has to taste like styrofoam and give you the runs?
No, they're look for the books, Eat This, Not That. And it shows we bought a ton of them. And there's like backyard grilling, there's all sorts of stuff. There's comfort food and stuff like that. And it shows, I mean, they're not completely, 100%, you're going to drop a lot of weight eating. But you will eat better, and the ones we tried were tasty as all hell. Like there was a lasagna roll up one that was tasty. There was a burger one. I don't remember off the top of my head. Some type of slider that was just awesome and just delicious as all hell.
Well, don't get me wrong. The stuff that Lindsay cooks that is healthy tastes fantastic and doesn't bother my stomach at all.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I cook tastes fantastic, is not health food, does not give me the runs at all. It's Southern cooking. I don't know how to do anything else. But the stuff we get from the stores that is supposed to be healthy,
Oh yeah.
it might as well be rice cakes, and it
Yeah.
might as well
The
be.
right rice cakes are tasty. Quaker has some really good rice cakes
I've
now.
had good rice cakes before, but I have had a meal that looked great, tasted like cardboard, tasted like styrofoam.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, it was like I've been following Joe Dog's Taco Bell diet and I had to run for the border.
It could
Happens
also
entirely
be
too often. It's
Yeah.
store bought stuff. It's not homemade stuff.
it could be something with the way that the food is created and prepared, because your body does not know how to work with it, that your body's like, send it on through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Buddy, his name actually is Buddy. Diverticulitis, he had to have, some of his intestine taken out and stuff like that. And in order to make sure that he doesn't have another bad attack ever again, he decided to go vegetarian. Not vegan, just vegetarian. He can have, dairy, he can have eggs and stuff like that. It's just he's not eating the meat fats. Although he does, well, when his mom was still alive, he did treat himself to some turkey on Thanksgiving. Whenever he ate anything that was prepared on a griddle or a grill that meat was prepared on and not cleaned off, he would be king for a day.
Mhm.
And anytime any type of animal fat got into his food, he had the trots, and it's just it's like I don't know how to work with this anymore. Send it on through,
Mm-hmm.
But in a case like that, the more you eat it, the more your body will adapt to it, realize what it is, but the thing is, it tastes like crap. So why the hell
Right.
would you
Would you
continue?
want to? Yeah.
Yeah, really, and it's more the opposite problem. It's not meat that does it.
Well, like I said, it's probably
Yeah, yeah.
something in it. It could be an
Something
additive.
in it. It could be that there's a certain brand of potato chips I can't have anymore because they're cooked in some kind of
Olustra.
something like that. Yes, and it causes the explosive decompression problems.
Oh,
Oh,
Olustra
the sun chip.
is known for Olustra is known for causing that. It's one of the warnings of the product is may cause anal leakage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honey,
Uh,
this
the-
ain't leakage. This is an explosion.
I've always been a sandwich person. On the go, make a bologna sandwich, make a ham sandwich. And I was missing that. I tried the keto bread. And the keto bread spiked my blood sugar more than Sunbeam White. So I'm back to eating Sunbeam White. But there's also other little tricks, like when you have a hamburger, Carl would take the two tops off of the bun and use that, and I'll use the two bottoms, because your top bun is almost like 3 times the size of your bottom bun, and so it's got more carbs in it.
Yeah.
So that's just a little thing.
Have you tried sourdough bread?
Love sourdough bread. I do not like what I can get in the store, because it's like whole wheat bread to me. It's grainy, it's icky. If I could get the kind that I get at the local restaurants, I would probably, because sourdough bread is supposed to be good. I use pink Himalayan salt.
Try, if you can find it, try Lewis Bakery sourdough.
Lewis Bakery.
It's Lewis Bakery is the same bakery that makes bunny bread, which I think Sunbeam might be a bunny product as well.
I think so too.
But just for grins, because I tried sourdough many years ago, did not care for it, did not like it. But as time goes on, taste buds change, tastes change. So I'm like, screw it, I'll try it again. And this was after talking to Anna Marie. I can't. Anne or Anna Marie. She, the lady that you and her could not wake Dan.
And Salvaggio?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
She was talking about sourdough and sourdough for diabetics and stuff like that. So I tried it. And
Haven't seen her in a while.
That was tasty as all get out.
Okay, that's what I thought. The Lewis bread is the keto bread that I tried and spiked my blood sugar.
I didn't try their keto.
And I'm not seeing sourdough with it.
Now, I got to admit, Lindsay can bake some biscuits that are better than anything except what my mama does. And I've got to say, it's got to be years of practice that gets that right, that consistently. And when we have to go to the store-bought stuff, because she's going to be busy, she doesn't have time. Like, it's not a big deal. Doesn't taste anywhere near as good. But we're talking breakfast restaurant that is totally full parking lot sort of quality of biscuits. The places that people come from miles around just to get their breakfast biscuit.
I remember when Mama used to have sourdough starter in the fridge at all the times and making everything from it. Yeah. Another thing is, I love my milk. Even as a kid, I was that kid that would drink milk with pizza, with hamburger, with potato chips. No matter whether it's skim milk, whole milk, 2%, 11 carbs in a single cup. Who drinks just a cup of milk? Well, not me. The glass I would use probably would have at least 3 cups in it and get a refill. Had to quit that.
Yeah, I mean, hell, even the little milk cartons that you got in grade school and stuff like that was a pint.
Really.
And thinking of milk, that makes me think: are you lactose intolerant, Rich?
Have not been officially diagnosed as such. Um, I'm not completely, but if I'm not judicious in the amount of milk that I take in, there are issues.
Carl is lactose intolerant, and I can't remember the pill. It's OTC that he
Lactate.
takes. Nope, lactate did not work. This was something else.
Hmm.
He has to take it every day, and but he can have a milkshake now. He'll take a second pill when he has a milkshake, but he can have a milkshake. He can eat ice cream. I cannot think of the name of it. Ask him. He'll be able to tell you.
I was gonna say when you do, or if I remember to ask him, it's not like I'll never talk to you again.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he'll watch this tomorrow, and then he'll probably contact you. But
that
yeah,
works.
we were. He had tried to lactate. It didn't work, and we used to have a little discount place in town, and we had heard about this um, this medicine, but it was a little pricey, and you don't want to buy a whole thing of something that's not going to work. So I was at this discount place, and they had this barrel full of OTC, a buck a shot. And I'm looking at, oh, here's that lactose intolerance medicine that Carl was talking about. We can try this for $1. That was the best dollar I ever spent because I mean that was well, we were living on Greenwood Cemetery Road, so that's been 20 years ago. And yeah, he especially likes it. He can have his Klondike bar. Or we can go to the Dairy Queen and he can get a Blizzard or a concrete mixer from Culver's. But yeah, they had to put him on some kind of formula when he was a baby because he was allergic. They called it allergic to milk back then, but yeah, he was lactose intolerant. And we go to Cahill's and gets biscuits and gravy, and I go, "Are you gonna need a second pill because that is a plate this big?"
Would it be shift digestive advantage?
I think so.
And then there's also from Major, there is Dairy Aid.
No, I believe it's the advantage.
That's not bad.
I'm sorry to have to say
Lactose
this,
defense formula.
but y'all have reminded me of a dessert that I thought of that I am going to have to try to see whether or not it works. Now, I'm a big fan of a dish of French vanilla ice cream with Irish mist poured over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the other day, well, several weeks ago now, wouldn't that chocolate ice cream I've got in the freezer be good if I poured a little Kraken rum over it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, especially if it was coffee cracking.
Yeah, I thought about that, but it I have to restrict myself to the 70 proof Kraken because the 94 I fall down. It tastes so good that I forget the extra few proofs in there are hazardous to my perception of gravity.
In other words, you change that little chant: 1 Kraken, 2 Kraken, 3 Kraken, 4.
Cutoff is about 3, yeah.
Yeah,
which is weird because I do like the Statesman bourbon, which is 94 proof, and you don't get a 70 proof option. And
I've kind of backed off the Kraken since that night I did the coffee flavored Kraken with the rum chata.
that was a bit of a that was high test right there. That wasn't the regular. That was high test.
Well, and I did go a little overboard in the amount. Not 1, but 2 fistfuls. I tell you, I was feeling no pain that night. Well, until I hit my head on the door. I still got the lump.
Now, I once came up with a great dessert for people who are not lactose intolerant. I went out and bought the what do you call them? It's not schnapps. It's some kind of, well, it's not a big liqueur, but it's a almost a cordial sort of. Anyway, they come in different fruit flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the fruit. One of these was flavored as, and a block of Philadelphia cream cheese, and a pack of the French vanilla ice cream. Put it all in a blender and made pretty much a smoothie, and then put it back in the fridge to harden again. Oh my God. Oh, and I also, there were adventurous days when some extra alcohol was involved besides the flavored liqueurs. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was. It wasn't quite ice cream. It wasn't quite frozen yogurt. It was more of.
Kind of like a soft serve.
Yeah. And about 40 proof.
Sounds like good soft serve to me.
Yeah. And basically, there are so many of those fruit flavored liqueurs. You could use just about any fruit, and then if you're partial to citrus, there are several things like Grand Marnier and Mandarin Napoleon, that brandy that you can add along with the orange flavored liqueur and
fresh
tangerines.
No, Grand Marnier, that's the one that comes in the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, right?
No, that's it's purple. Chambord.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing I had to give up with the diabetes is my maraschino cherries.
Oh God.
Because I can't have a drink with just 1 or 2 in them. I gotta have a half a dozen.
Lindsay will take a jar of maraschino cherries, put 2 or 3 of them in a glass. No liquor, just tonic water or something like that. And basically it's a Shirley Temple, no alcohol, with extra cherries. And no big heaping spoonfuls of sugar stirred in, because she doesn't like things that sweet.
We used to do the original.
And yet she likes you.
We used to do the original cherry 7-Up. glass of 7-Up, and a dash of the liquid from a jar of maraschino cherries and like 3 maraschino cherries.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Cherry Coke is good with maraschino cherries in it too. Don't need
There
any
are a
I,
liquor.
few
I'm,
things I could think of that wouldn't
I'm not a cherry
benefit.
Coke person.
That's okay. More for me.
And that's fine. It's like, like I say, I like my coffee like I like my men. Not my thing, but I'm not gonna, fault other people for going for it.
They're also good in ginger ale.
Hmm.
Just ginger ale and maraschino cherries.
I'm I'm just learning to like ginger ale, so I will have to try that at some point in time.
There is a
I hated it when I was a kid. I tried it. Um, you were talking about the dark and stormies, so I bought some
Mhm.
ginger ale to make a dark and stormy, and I'm like, I wonder what it tastes like to me now. So, there was still some left in the can after I topped everything off, and I'm like, hey, this is tasty just by itself.
What brand did you use?
Kroger.
Mhm. There's a brand called Q, makes all kinds of different things. They do have a ginger ale
Q
as
as
well.
in line or Q as in just the letter?
Q isn't just the litter. It is extremely strong. As in, if you're not expecting it, and you
It's
just
going to
open,
knock you down and take your lunch money.
it'll make yeah, um, take your lunch money and probably your socks. Um, I
I'm fine. I don't wear socks usually.
Lindsay had me buy some of there was a coupon involved, and get the light version,
Always.
and we had this sitting there, and she's going, "Oh, this is not like the ginger beer that I used to have." And I go, "Okay, well, yeah, ain't no use letting it go to waste. I like ginger ale." Opened it up. Now, see, we can't have we can't make our own ice because our water rusts if you let it
Hmm.
sit. There's so much iron in it. I am never going to have to buy a bottle of Geritol in my life. It's well water, and it's
Hmm.
Georgia. Red clay used to be an ancient sea bottom, so all kinds of diatomaceous stuff in there. Um, I took a sip of this, and it like to have blown the top of my head off. It wasn't extra carbonated. It was, this is real ginger. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. Was a
I
surprise.
I like about any brand except Schweppes ginger ale. And Schweppes upsets my stomach, and I'm like, you drink ginger ale to settle your stomach, not get it more upset.
Hmm.
So it's yes,
Yeah,
Yeah, Carl knows that if ginger ale is on the scavenger list, not Schweppes.
well, uh, I will preferentially buy that brand, the Q brand, because now that I know what it is, I can
Hmm.
treat it with respect. But that's why when you see me mix a drink, there's no ice in it. Because unless we go buy a bag of ice, it's going to be, why is the ice brown? Well, we know why the ice is brown because the water's got so much iron in it. Uh, when I first moved in here, got a glass of water straight from the tap, filters in the water pipes, cleaning out the stuff. Set it on the counter overnight. Set it on the counter and forgot it overnight, basically. went to bed, got up the next morning, came back, and the water had rusted inside the glass. Uh, uh, I think my mom has to have an extra filter in between the filter on the from the pump to the house,
Mm-hmm. That's what
an
we had to
extra
do.
an extra one on the ice maker in the refrigerator to keep that from happening. Either that or you got to use it up real quick. Because if you give it long enough to sit, there's enough oxygen in the air to turn that iron brown again. Uh,
Oh, Myers does carry Q ginger beers.
Now, I don't know whether you would like the light version or the full strength version, but it's probably just a difference in the sugar level. So light, more than likely, but I love it. I absolutely love it, but it was a surprise the first time I had any.
Now, I can drink a can of Coke without it bothering my sugar because I don't drink it. It takes me all day to drink a 12-ounce can. So it goes into my blood sugar and bloodstream slowly.
Hmm.
So my blood sugar doesn't go up when I do that.
Give your body time to process it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I rarely ever drink any kind of soda. Um, I will drink lots of tomato juice. I will drink lots of water. I will drink lots of coffee. I will drink lots of natural light. Most of the time when I go to a restaurant, I get unsweetened iced tea.
Mm-hmm.
And as a southerner, I get these
I,
funny looks.
I was gonna say, and that's another thing. They tell you eat fruit to stay healthy. Um, I have one medium orange, and I love oranges. I love oranges, and my blood sugar snaps up to over 200 almost as soon as that orange is gone.
Uh-huh. I'm not a bit surprised.
So yeah, natural sugar is just as bad as the other kind.
Hmm. Well, I mean, basically anything that makes alcohol, if you let it sit for a while, is probably got a lot of sugar in it.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so good. Ah,
Yes, it is. And we have got about 17 minutes.
oh wow. Um, oh, there was a girl on one of the boat videos that I watched today that is I don't know if she's vegetarian or vegan, but she was foraging for um, green vegetables, basically, if you want to call them that. And there were, I can't remember what she called one of the weeds that she was pulling up to eat, but the other one was nettles, which are spiky kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she cooked those, or rather, steamed them after meticulously cleaning to make sure that that was all that she had gathered rather than something else by accident. She was very
Mm-hmm.
careful about that because, you know, if you're just going in there and cutting up different weeds, you're going to get more than what you actually thought you had a handful of because it's not something that was planted. And steam the stuff, um, put in some flour and enough water to make a dough with the greenery in it, fried it up as if it were um vegetarian hamburger or something like that, and had uh, some some type of vegetable curry and um, a brand of rice that she liked very. It had like 6 or 8 things on her plate, and um, mango chutney as a little uh, condiment to go with it, and a couple of other things. And uh, I'm just sitting there going, no wonder you're so skinny.
Yeah.
Nettles, cooking them does something to destroy whatever the enzymes are in the nettles that cause the irritation.
Mm-hmm.
And then allegedly nettles is supposed to be good to help you with your sugars as well.
Mm-hmm. And she said they were loaded with dietary protein. And I had run across this in some of the books by English authors that I'd read.
If you people are going to smoke pot, can you at least smoke something that doesn't smell like a dead skunk?
But that's the good stuff.
Ugh.
No, seriously, that's the good stuff. You pay extra for that.
As one that does not partake and only has to deal with the smell, yeah, and considering it is currently illegal in my state,
Mm-hmm. I understand completely. It's been damn near 2 decades since the last I had, so.
I had
Carl,
to deal with smelling it a lot at Dad's today.
Fresh or just ambient?
Fresh. It's my eldest sister and her boyfriend live in Michigan, where it is legal.
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while they would spark up, and it's like, come on, you guys know I don't like cigarette smoke to begin with. This is even worse. I mean, it's smoke triggers my migraines. I mean, should it become legal in Indiana? I'll try edibles. And
Yeah.
I've watched enough comedians to know you only take a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Wolf,
Well,
that Donna likes to post up in Uncle Carl's Secret Humor group. I love him, and I love watching his stuff. And it's like
when he had the whole muffin.
yeah, and then he decides to get even with his brother
and sends him one.
You're going to eat this at home. Why? Because I'm not dealing with your ass.
Before it became legal in Illinois, Carl had one cigar that he had to smoke at home because it smelled like weed. Every time he'd light it up, I'd be going back there going, "We got some weed? No, oh, it's just cigar." Okay.
One of the last times I rode the bus, I'm sitting there waiting to get picked up for the bus at home or at night coming home, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, these teenagers are walking. Okay, I take that back.
Passing the ritual herb.
Some young individuals whom appeared to me to be teenagers. But, granted, I'm old and I can look at someone that's 20 and go, "You're only 13. Leave me alone, boy."
For me, it seems to be anybody under the age of 30. Seriously, I'm just going. What? Who is kindergarten out early today?
But as they passed me, I smelled it really strong, and I'm like, the gall of these people smoking that out, and it's right, it's illegal here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
It's
least
a
they
really
weren't
weird
driving.
world. Yeah, it's a really weird world. Crap that you never thought,
Mm.
and it's. I need to fact check to see if this is true, but sadly, the way the world is, I believe it is possible, and my nephew was really certain that if this really did happen, that allegedly somewhere there was a school that the mom threatened to sue the school if they did not put a litter box in the ladies' room because her daughter identified as a cat. And that is the only way that they would go to the bathroom.
Entitled much?
I think someone needs,
Yeah.
I think someone needs to be homeschooled.
Or at least leash trained.
There are some cats that do use the toilet.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, there are.
And they can learn how to flush it too.
Which is why we never taught
No.
any of our cats. No, I know, but which is why we never taught any of our cats, because Blue would have been in there constantly flushing the toilet
Yeah.
because he loved that.
My cat Tigger would flush the toilet. My cat Tigger. This was a feral cat that my Uncle Harold had found and nursed back to health, and had pulled 81 BBs out from under the cat's skin.
I hate people.
The cat was a complete asshole, but hung around. And my Uncle Harold had a farm, and he's like, I don't know if it's keeping mice out of the barn. I don't care. He can be an asshole all he wants. The cat, when we went to visit my Uncle Harold, and Uncle Harold was Mom's brother, Mom's eldest brother, the cat took such an instant liking to my dad that the cat came home to Indiana with us. Driving with a feral cat from Missouri to Northwest Indiana. That was fun. Tigger was an interesting cat. He would actually, because he learned to go to the bathroom by watching my father, by going to the bathroom in the toilet. If my sisters did not close the door fast enough, or did not close the door at all when they were using the restroom, and he decided to use the restroom as well, he would wander in, hop up on the commode, and scoot his ass in, and he'd be going the same time they were. And like I said, he learned to flush the toilet as well. This was the cat that was sitting dead center on a 3-person sofa. My father was on one end. His best friend at the time, Denny, was on the other end. And at the same time, both of them looked at the other one going, "You rotten motherfucker," and ran off the couch. thinking the other one had let just a nasty fart. Meanwhile, the cat's just sitting there like, all mine now. It was Tigger.
Oh, my
Now
cat
this-
Mei Ling loved, although she was afraid of the outside, she loved to go in the car. So I decided to take her to Florida with me when I went to see my folks. Come to find out, you drive over 20 miles away and she would get car sick. Fortunately, happened to be there was a vet's place along the way there, and he gave her some medicine. So Carl and I, the first time we went down, he says, we're taking Mei Ling, and I'm like, okay, we got to get her some of this medicine then. And we let her roam around the car. And she was sitting on my lap and suddenly began backing up over my shoulder, slipped off the back of the seat, hung there for a moment, let go, and fell into the litter box that we had on the floor of the back seat for her. Like, oh yeah. She would get so high on that medicine, it was hilarious. When I was alone, and this was the first time I went down, so I went through Georgia instead of the way we went later down through Alabama. She was being an ass. And she'd get up on the car seat behind me, and I'm like, get down. Mom needs to see out of there, get down. And she proceeded to bap me on the head. Bap. Stop that. Bap. So I did what any parent would do. I turned over to the side of the road and pulled her off the thing and put her down in the seat. Like, don't do that. She was a sweet kitty. She hated men. And then Carl came along, and that's how I knew I was going to be stuck with him forever, because she loved him.
That's why Lindsay thinks we're going to be stuck with his dog forever. But,
She's yours
No.
now.
Okay, so I
operative
just
word, mine. Yes.
I just looked up the cat litter thing, and apparently my nephew listens to a lot of Joe Rogan, because I'm guessing that's where he got it from. But apparently, a lot of GOP leaders have been saying that, you know, this has been happening across their states, and apparently all the school districts that are claiming that this is happening are like, no. But apparently there is one school that does stock kitty litter in classrooms. And the reason for that is it is part of a go bucket as an emergency supply, just in case students are locked in a classroom during an active shooter scenario.
I can understand that. That makes sense.
And that is perfect sense right there.
Yep.
And that's actually kind of cool that someone thought about that.
When I was in first grade, the room that my first grade class was in had boys' room and a girls' room in the back of the room. And I had this most obnoxious teacher. For one thing, she'd call me Alvina and my best friend Alvina by my name. I was compared to Alvina, who was about this thin with blonde hair. And then there was me, compared to her, kind of chubby with my auburn hair. How could you mistake the two of us, you know? So if you had to use the restroom, you were supposed to raise your hand, and she'd say okay, and you'd go back. So I'm sitting at my desk, and I raise my hand. And she ignored me and ignored me, so I finally peed my pants. So she informed me, well, if you have to go that badly, just get up and go, if I don't see you. Yeah, the room was not that big. You saw me. So the other time I was up at the board doing math things. And I had to go, so I turned around, held up my hand, ignored. I'm like, okay, I can't wait any longer. I start to take off. She informed me to get back to the chalkboard. So again, I wet myself. To say that I hated my first grade teacher would probably be an understatement.
Perfectly understandable. And we're at the top of the hour, so
Holy cow.
time to say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Night, folks.
And we shall see you at the earliest opportunity.
Cryptid Crunch tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward to it, yes. And
I may be on.
What flavor is it this time?
If you've had a near-death experience, or if you have a guardian spirit.
that should be interesting.
Yes.
And
So
since-
yeah, I may be on.
Since I am off for work for the next 2 weeks, I probably, if I wake up in time, will get to see Never Mind the Furthermore. If I wake up in time. And since I'm a night owl, that is always debatable. But we shall see.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.